Welcome to Too Many Podcasts, the podcast about podcasts. Now, podcasting from the Sherpa Chalet on Mount Podcastia, here's your host, Jim, the podcast Sherpa.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Hey there, rebels of the Sherpalution. So let me check something here. Is my hair looking good in place? Yeah, sounds good. My fly up? Oh, yeah, we're good. So I can officially say, welcome to Season 3. And it's Too Many Podcasts, and welcome to any listeners who might be brand new. Hi there, waving to you. That was me waving. I hope you guys enjoyed Hollywood Week at the start of the season. And of course, we would never forget the portion of the show from whence it grew, Too Many Podcasts, where I get to talk to you podcasters about podcasts. Do you feel like laughing? Well, then it's a theme week.
It's theme week, it's theme week, it's theme week.
Because laughter will be this week's theme.
Who's our guest today, Sherpa?
They're two guys, Andy and Brandon, or Brandon and Andy, whichever order you care to choose. I don't know which one they use. But two guys, one guy and the other guy. Okay? And their show is called Try Not to Laugh. And I was lucky enough to have a sit down with the both of them to talk a lot about their show and what makes them laugh. Don't forget, today's podcast is being brought to you by Audible, where you can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Sherpa. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Alrighty, let's head on down to the conference room, or should we say the yuck room at the Sherpa Chalet, for a conversation with Brandon and Andy of Try Not to Laugh. Hello, Rebels. I have a challenge for you. Try not to laugh. No, I mean, it's not really a challenge. That's the name of the podcast that my two guests host tonight. We have Andy and Brandon here, and they're already cracking jokes before we even got on the air. So let's say a quick hello to them. Andy, Brandon, how you guys doing?
What is happening? We usually start off our show, we like to say, what is happening? Try not to laugh holes. So I came up with a laugh hole. That is those are our people. They're laugh holes. Instead of what? What, Andy? Instead of say it.
What? No, it used to be a lot of things. I used to change it up every week. Then it turned
every
into
week
laugh
we
holes
changed
and
it,
it stuck.
And then you know what? It's like donut holes. It made me hungry. It made me want food. I ate, and now I'm.
Don't even get me started on holes.
Oh God, how many? How many holes, Andy? Let's count them. Let's count the ways.
All right, let's keep this R-rated, okay?
They could be laughaholics.
Oh, you're right. Laughaholics.
New shirt idea.
Oh, Jimbo, you're giving us ideas over here.
I give everybody ideas. All
Right, he's the Sherpa.
That's right, because I am the Sherpa. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, Andy and I met about 25 years ago. We were in junior high school, and we were in this computer class. Okay, so computers were just coming around, and we had a project that we had to do. We had to make an M&M's box. So shockingly, they paired the two fattest kids to make an M&M design. They're like, here's another fat kid. You're a fat kid. Get together. You both look nerdy and can do stuff on computers. So there you go. So Andy and I. So he sat down and he's like, listen, I don't actually want to do anything. Can you do this entire thing for me? And I'm like, great, kid. I've got ideas. It's M&M's. I'm gonna make this thing look beautiful. I promise you. And all of a sudden, I started doing all the work. And by the end, what was the grade that we got in? I forgot.
I think it was a B-.
B-. That's sort of the. That's the same grade most women have given me throughout my life, is C+, B-.
You're giving yourself too much credit.
Way too much credit. That's the problem. But for Jim's audience, who knows? I'm ruggedly handsome. So this was 25 years ago. And then ever since, Andy and I have just have either kept in touch. We were great friends while we lived in Long Island. And then I had to leave. Where's the track that goes, oh. Thank you.
Yeah.
I went for greener pastures to North Carolina, baby, because you know what? You could be first in business and be 51st in education. And if you average the two, you got number 26 in the country, baby. Let's average those two together. So we are top 30.
I like your math.
That is fuzzy math. But yep, so I left, but Andy and I have kept in touch for our entire lives. And then about a year ago, we came up with the idea of, did I just come up to you, Andy, and I said, I want to do a podcast.
Well, I've been toying with the idea of podcasting for a while, and I couldn't find a suitable co-host. And one day, Brandon just randomly brought it up to me on the phone. He's like, I've been thinking to do a podcast, and light bulb went off, and we started throwing around name ideas, and it just kind of blossomed from there. I don't know.
It was always natural to us because we would always talk on the. How many years have we? I mean, we've talked on the phone.
Too many.
God, so much. And we would riff with each other and talk with each other. I'd always make him laugh. And that's one of the things I like about Andy is that he laughs at my jokes. And this is something I look for in a partner, in a mate, in a closet organizer, just anybody that I come into contact with. If you laugh at my jokes, you're in with me. So I've always, throughout all the years, Andy's always, he's laughed. And we've said, you know what? We talk on the phone for an hour at a clip. We can make shows out of this. We can do this. We can make it funny. And ever since we've just kind of ran with it. And my hat's off to Andy. He's really the what is he? He's the mind, the heart, the soul. I think I'm the pinky toe. Am I the metacarpal, Andy? Am I a phalange?
The hangnail.
Am I even as good as a phalange?
No.
Am I the tip?
Just the tip.
Is it like E.T.? Do I just put that finger? So that's pretty much that's been us, and ever since now we've got working on episode 25, and we just had our very first big guest, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, on our show.
I noticed that. How did you like him as a guest? How was he?
And
he was great. I mean, he's a really down to earth guy, really good guy. I mean, the guy loves to talk, and that's both a good thing and a bad thing. He makes me sound
like a mutant.
Right. He makes Jackie, Brandon sound like me.
Correct. I love Jackie, but he really is a genuine guy, but he literally makes me sound like Anne Frank. I mean, I cannot believe how much this guy talks, but he's great. He's a great interview. He really is.
He is.
Great guy. And he's very genuine, and that's the thing that I really get from him is that he's a genuine human being that loves what he does with his life. He just wants to have peace and love, and he did that on our show. Really, he just really went around and talked about everything about his life, and I think we got that out of him. So I was pretty happy at the interview.
So what makes you guys laugh?
You asking that question
did it.
We both said it at the same time. You asking that question makes me laugh. You know what it is? We're just absurd. We are two really absurd, insane guys. So the stuff that makes me laugh, I'm a big fan of like the roast battles and Jeff Ross, Anthony Jeselnik, Jim Norton, Greg Giraldo, Patrice O'Neill, Colin Quinn, all these amazing comedians, just the absurdist thinking of how people get to a joke or what some people may find offensive, I find absolutely hilarious. And Andy and I we're cut from the same cloth. We're of the same ilk. So we both find the insane funny. We had an episode where we talked about death and mortality and what would we have on our tombstone and what would we and I came up with the fact that we should have sponsorships on tombstones, and we got into what would it would say on the sponsorships. I said, well, Tombstone Pizza, so we gotta
right. Well, you had Skechers, Nike, Tombstone Pizza, a number of things.
But it's just like ridiculous. If it's ridiculous, we love it. I'm not too conventional. I don't think things are funny that are too conventional, right? I mean, maybe I'm
right. I mean, we'll normally try to get whatever humor we can out of any situation or any topic. So, I mean, regardless of whether we're talking about the news, something topical, or whether it's, something that's going on in our lives that maybe is even of a serious matter, we'll always find the humor in it. And I think that's important in comedy because really nothing should be off the table. And if you go into any situation with that mindset, then you're going to find the humor in it.
Well, warriors, Andy. Free speech. Warriors. I am the warrior, I'm sorry.
That was your MTV flashback, everybody. You were just talking about what you would have on your tombstone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, because we're podcasters, wouldn't it be like, here lies a podcaster, gravesite provided by Squarespace?
We could do that. Jim, I like where you're going with it. I was thinking more of he was fat, he was fabulous, he was flatulent. So if I stick with F's, we're good. I'm very thematic in nature, so I like themes. If you see from our show, we do have lots of different themes that we like to stick with. So for my tombstone, let's stick with everything F. Andy, what do you think? F.
I'm on board with what Jim's saying. So I'm cool with Squarespace. I like let's see, Dollar Shave Club. What is the other one?
Shaving.
Huh?
What about if we get sponsored by King Tut? Because I love him. He took all of his money with him, and he put it in.
Sponsoring anybody. It's in the ground.
Can we have Egypt sponsor it? The actual country. Could we get money from the tourism board from Egypt? Could we do that, Ann?
That's up to you. We talk the Egyptians.
Do we walk like Egyptians? No, I can barely walk. My knees hurt tonight.
That might be a little bit of a challenge. How about you, Andy? What makes you laugh?
Similarly to Brandon, conventional stuff is always just kind of just feels cheap to me and old, and I can't find the humor in that kind of stuff. Any kind of like ventriloquist humor, mines, things like that.
I hate that stuff.
That
to
won't
me,
do.
I like stream of consciousness. So I just like that if we're talking and we just go off on rampages, like Robin Williams was one of my favorite guys on planet Earth. His comedy was it's transcendent. Am I saying that right? Transcendental? No, transcendent. Transcontinental Railroad? No.
I'm sorry, Fatty. Is your name Andy?
Oh shoot! You know what? Andy's going to do what he always does. He's just going to watch and listen. Okay, listen and learn.
No, but as long as it's outside the box, and it's got to be, a nice balance of, sweet and sour. You know what I mean? I like a good contrast to my humor. Anything that kind of resembles a happy song with sad lyrics. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's just going to kind of trigger an emotion in you and make you think differently and make you think outside the box. I think that's really important in comedy because, like I said, anything that is outside the norm and kind of brings something out of you that you wouldn't normally just find on like Channel 5. And I think that's what we try to bring to the show also. Like we might discuss very relatable topics, but then we'll kind of put our own spin on it where like Brandon has his perspective and I have mine, and we try to not to do the same thing that every other podcast is doing.
Who would be your dream guest? Give me 3 dream guests.
Dream guest. Okay, dream guest. The guy that invented yoga pants.
Just to thank him.
Just to thank him for his service to this country. Like when I go up to veterans, same thing. Thank you so much, sir, for your service. So the guy that invented yoga pants. I'd like to say the guy that invented the porta potty too. I think he's done some fabulous work. And if I had to spin a third one, I'd like to say the guy that created Abraham Lincoln's hat. Just to say he's a trendsetter.
Isn't that one of the Brooks brothers?
Which brother?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm sure they both worked on it.
Oh,
Brooks Brothers tailors all the presidential clothing.
Was it Boll and Branch? Or no, that was the sheets. 4 presidents have slept on the Boll and Branch sheets.
Jim, can we curse on this show?
I can always bleep it out.
That's all right. Try to contain myself.
You guys are showing such restraint. It's funny when I have guests on who are like, we usually curse on the show and they try and hold back. You just see this like almost this panic come over them like, okay, I'm not going to say this word, but I'll say this word.
Yeah, listen.
Mother duckling.
He uses it as a crutch, okay? I've got real comedy. I don't need that.
Right, I'm cheap.
Andy's like a cheap whore.
Bleep.
I think we can let that one go. So you guys are you both big fans of other podcasts?
Brandon's not. Brandon actually doesn't listen to any podcasts.
I don't listen to a single podcast.
Which surprised me because that never even came up in conversation when we started the show because we try not to compare ourselves to other shows. So it's very, very rare that I'll say, oh, you should listen to this show because they do this, or I like the way they do that. Like we always just try to make it our own thing.
Let me preface it though. I do want to preface it. I don't listen to podcasts, but I do watch them on YouTube. So, like for instance, Andy and I both agree that we love the Bonfire with Dan Soder and Big J Okerson. So, is that a podcast? I don't know, or is that just a show on XM? Maybe that's just a show.
I think it's just a radio show.
Okay, so then I don't listen to podcasts, but I do. I do listen to radio shows like that are in the same format as us. So You Up with Nikki Glazer, she's absolutely fantastic. Love that show. The Bonfire with, like I said, with Dan and Big J Okerson, love that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I like. I mean, just more shows, more comedy shows. Andy's the podcast guy. He loves To the Left, right? Was that Beyonce's To the Left? No.
To the left.
Everything I own.
Well, yeah, there's Last Podcast on the Left, which I listen to sometimes. If they have an interesting enough story, I'll stick with them, because most of their episodes are like 2, 3, 4 parts. So you got to really stick with it. They're a good one. I mean, I started out listening to podcasts, I think the same way that most people did, whether it's, Smodcast with Kevin Smith or Joe Rogan, or, like all the really, really big names.
Rogan, I listen to. So.
Yeah. But then I think over time you kind of, and I don't want to talk bad about any of them really, because, they're all good at what they do, and otherwise they wouldn't be at the level they're at. But I think that, a lot of these podcasts reach this point where their audience is so big, and now there's so many eyes on them that they kind of start to do the same thing that TV shows do or big radio shows do. And they kind of have to, appeal to everyone or make their sponsors happy and be more careful about what they're talking about. So that's typically when I start to, shy away from those types of shows. So I haven't listened to Rogan in months.
Except Rogan, though. Rogan's still great, though.
I don't know. I don't like it. I also don't like the fact that he's so into the MMA talk now, and I'm not a big MMA guy.
He's got so many other. He's had
scientists
on the
right,
show.
Exactly. He used to. When was the last time he had a proper scientist on there? Like the last time I listened
don't know. I watch a YouTube portion.
From 3 years ago when he had Gad Saad on, and he was talking about
but that's new to me.
Anthropology and
sociology people
like
and sex people. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Now we're the sex people. Like, I can't go to him for that kind of stuff anymore. A
I'm
lot of stuff I listen to now, I don't purposely, I'm not one of those people who's only listening to like an indie show just to be different. But I think that there's a lot more interesting topics and interesting people in smaller shows than there is, in a lot of the more mainstream, if you want to call it that, podcasts.
So you guys really prefer to be kind of on the cutting edge rather than being that tried and true formula.
I think we need to find our balance.
We're finding that. We feel like we just got started. We're still playing around with our formula. We just came up with something tonight on a different way a method that we think is going to catapult us to the level of stardom, as they say. We're going to be big. We're going to be huge, Tim.
Huge. This is be the biggest podcast ever.
We're going to be huge. This is going to be the greatest podcast ever.
Everybody will be listening to me. All right, we've all calmed down for a second. So everyone took a breath. Andy lit up.
I'm doing Lamaze breathing. Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
We're having a Zen moment right now.
Did you ever do Lamaze breathing to Queen's "We Will Rock You"? Do you think you should tell women to do that? We will.
They might give birth a little faster.
Maybe.
So we have a portion of the show, and it's called Shameless Self-Promotion.
Shameless self-promotion.
Right.
And this is the part where you get to let everybody know where they can get in touch with you or follow anything that you guys are doing.
That's Andy's great at that. Go for it, Andy.
I am? Okay. So you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at TNTL Podcast. You can also find us on any podcasting platforms. So that includes the usual suspects. That's Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so on. And
You could-
soon, what?
Yeah. Well, no. What were we gonna say? And then
Well, I was going to say, pretty soon you'll be able to actually log on to tntlpodcast.com and find
Fantastic.
some new stuff.
Yep.
So that's up and coming, but we do own the domain, so don't even think about it.
Yeah, don't even think it. And also, you can find us at local buffets. You can find us at Destination XXLs. You can find us on the corner selling raincoats. You could find us in season maybe pumpkins in
Local
October. Valentine's Day, I'll dress up as a big for Valentine's Day. I'll dress up as a huge, heart. Two hearts that are so fat.
Be on Cameo just yet. You can't find us there.
Well, I'm glad you guys are keeping your options open.
Yeah, it's what we
Brandon
do.
certainly is.
Always. I keep everything open.
So, is there any guests coming up that maybe you want to kind of drop a little hint for our listeners?
I asked my grandma, but she never called me back. This is a problem. She was a big get. I'm trying for that, but I mean, she's dead, so that's going to be a bit of a problem.
What if we did an episode
anyone
where we
else?
visit her?
I would do that, and I would talk to her, and maybe you want to play the grandma's voice? I'll do. Oh, but Bubby, you're doing everything you can to make the show the best it could be.
But no, actually, we've got Steve Grillo from the Howard Stern Show. He's going to be coming on later this month. Let's see. We are also we've got James King, who's a stand-up comedian. We've got Larry Henkin, who's an actor. You've seen him in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Friends, and a number of other things. We've got Bobby Figueroa, who is the drummer from Beach Boys. He's coming up. So we've got a lot of really exciting guests. So definitely.
So wait, if we can get him, can we get Stamos? Wasn't Stamos drumming for them for a while as well?
Well, Stamos is the one who gave me his number. I'm not interested in Stamos.
You sure?
That's what he's been reduced to, the guy who hands out the other guy's phone
No,
number.
are you sure? Because his penis has seen so many hot women. I mean, there's a lot.
I'll give you Stamos' number. You could smell it.
Okay, and on that note,
sorry, forgot we were on a different show.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm
now.
sorry. I can't do anything about it. Okay, I've got to be me.
That is true. Don't we all, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, I know you guys have another interview coming up, and I don't want to hold you up for your next guest. So we'll pull the little deli ticket number out so that we know when the next guy's going to be up.
Made me so hungry. God Almighty.
You're always
I'll
hungry.
get a
So
pound
fat.
of the roast beef, please. Can I also get a half pound of the salsito turkey and half pound of the aloha turkey?
Low sodium, please.
Why is it half the time when I go on the deli line that they have to ask for each thing separate? It's like, I'll have a half pound of roast beef. Okay, here you go. And some Munster cheese. It's like, just tell them everything all at once.
Well, just give them a
Be able
list.
to remember it.
I've handed them lists, and they literally have still asked me one by one. Just take
Maybe
the
there's
list.
a rule. Maybe there's just a rule to it that we're none of us are aware of.
That could
Like
be.
there's like a whole thing. There's a system.
Jim, that could be your next interview. Why don't you interview the manager of a ShopRite? Can you do
That
that?
sounds
Yeah.
good.
Or Jersey Mike's.
Once I ordered a half a pound of roast beef and nothing else. The guy gave me half a pound of pepperoni because they sound so alike.
Roast beef, pepper. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Well,
They,
Jim.
oh, meat. I give you.
Well, Jim,
Meat.
thanks for having us on the show. We are appreciative of being on this podcast. So thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. That's Andy and Brandon. They are Try Not to Laugh. And what days do your new episodes come out?
Every Tuesday.
Every
Every
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Check them out.
Wait, Jim, do you want to do with us the way that we say goodbye to all of our audience, to our laugh holes?
Sure.
We go, thank you so much. We appreciate you very much. We're so happy you're here. And then we go, see you later.
Yeah.
And we all go, later. You want to try that, Jim?
Okay.
You want to do that? All right. So 1, 2, 3. See you later. Thanks, Jimbo.
And now it's time for Sherpa Suggestions.
Since the guys do a comedy podcast, I figured for this week's Sherpa Suggestions, I'd give you the top 10 iTunes comedy podcasts. At number 10 for this week, we have How Did This Get Made? And that's with Paul Scheer. And that's when they basically talk about bad movies. Wait, Don't Tell Me is number 9. That's an NPR show, and it's essentially a quiz on current events, but it's a lot of fun. Call Her Daddy comes in at number 8, and it's two ladies who are in their 20s and they talk about their lives in New York City. Number 7, from Comedy Central, we have The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Always clever, always funny. Number 6, bring him up all the time, the Ron Burgundy podcast. Love him. Will Ferrell, thank you very much. Number 5, The Adam Carolla Show. Adam has always been the comedy sidekick, but he can definitely step out on his own and be very, very funny. Number 4, also a Sherpa favorite, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and it's Conan interviewing different celebrities this week and finding out if maybe they'd be his friend. Well, some of them already are. Spoiler alert. But it's a lot of fun, and his assistant Sona has the best laugh on Podcastia. We'll just get that out of the way. Number 3 is Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, and Dax is married to Kristen Bell, and that's also an interview show. Number 2 is Office Ladies, and it's exactly what it is. It's two ladies who starred in the TV show The Office. And to no one's surprise, what's the number 1 comedy show this week? The Joe Rogan Experience. Shocker! I know. Take my podcast, please. Special thanks to Brandon and Andy for coming down to the Sherpa Chalet. Make sure you check out their show, Try Not to Laugh. And it's been me, Jim the Podcast Sherpa, and you've been listening to Too Many Podcasts. And you know something? I'm going to be appearing on a couple of other podcasts. As you know, that I may have mentioned a couple of thousand times, that I will be on From Where I Sit with Christopher Carter. We had a lot of fun with that. I also did an episode of a podcast called What's Your Effin' Binge? That's the name of it. It's self-censored. And also, I got to appear on a comedy podcast called The Life Radio Show with a guy named Don Smith, and he had another really funny comic on it named Kevin Rupert, who was also really nice, really funny. If you're looking for that episode, it's episode 315, Coming Down from a Good Nut Smack. That's the name of the episode. So as you can imagine, it's a theological discussion. You can hear me on all those shows, and you can hear me here and on my website, Sherpalution.com. And you can follow me on social media at Sherpalution if you want to go through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Sherpalution is the word that you need, as in Viva la Sherpalution. So thanks a lot for coming down. And next week we'll do an episode of the Sherpa Screening Room. Hopefully you will be back, and I will be looking forward to seeing you. Have a great week. And Mr. Bruce, it's all yours. You know what to do, sir. Try not to laugh when you're escorting everybody out of the Sherpa Chalet. Bye, Rebels.
Thanks for listening to Too Many Podcasts. Please disperse. You can go home now. I said you can go home now. Viva la Sherpalution. Viva la Sherpalution. Yeah, I'll come back now, you hear?